Hi, this is Rebecca Mara. I'm the owner of Samadhi Mind and Body. I'm an energy healer, an intuitive coach, and a body worker. And I'd like to talk to you today about expansion and contraction. So, expansion and contraction, as we see, is a natural dance in nature. Sometimes we get squeezed by life, sometimes we have these openings, and what creates suffering or pain is resistance to those contractions and desire for more of those expansions. What that does is it takes us out of the present moment. It takes us out of a relationship with who we are in the moment, what life is in that moment. And our relationship becomes a fight. When we build walls with anything in our life, with our emotions, with our minds, with other people, what happens is we get cut off from some life force because we're not riding the waves, the dynamic waves of life. So what I see happens with people on a physical level is they come in with this tension and they're holding their breath. Their mind is either kind of freaking out, or it's just controlling, or it's kind of loud. The whole system ends up with this root kind of binding of energy. So what's happening with that is we feel like we need to control life. So life is either overwhelming to us, or we're not in a harmonious, open, loving relationship with it, where everything is free-flowing and simple and grounded. Instead, we end up trying to control because our feelings feel like too much, our work feels like too much, or whatever it is, it's too much noise, whatever. What we do is we brace, we bind energy that would naturally be flowing and free and relaxed. Imagine like a baby or a puppy. That is the best example of unbound energy. They're just presence. They aren't controlling anything. They aren't binding energy in order to get a certain outcome. They're in complete relationship with what is in the moment, not looking into past or future at all. So when we bind this energy, it happens with us. We usually hold our breath and we squeeze a part of our muscular system. So we're holding and bracing from this nervous system level because we don't trust. So one of the best ways to start unbinding that energy is, I'm just thinking about what it's like when we bind energy mentally. So when we bind energy mentally, our thoughts feel really like concrete. We feel like our thoughts are really real. We might feel, if we're binding emotional energy, we might feel like that feeling is really real. It's more real than anything else. It's more real than our presence or our I am being, our essential self. So when we become attached to an emotion or a thought or an idea or a belief, there isn't a fluidity. There's no more natural movement because we can't be present with what's happening. And so that energy gets bound and fixated here in time and space when there are a million other possibilities. That energy gets fixated and it becomes physical form, and it tends to manifest in the physical body. If it doesn't manifest in the physical body somehow, that's amazing. I'd be really surprised. But the first way to start reworking this pattern, because it's just part of our animal body, we can't really stop it. One of the best ways to start reworking that pattern is first through awareness. So our awareness is one of our greatest gifts. It sounds maybe kind of boring, but it's not. Our awareness feels magical, actually, when you learn to really be aware, not from your mind doing the observing or your head doing the observing, but from your being, feeling your spirit incarnated through physical form, realizing that you have choice about how your mind or your body or your nervous system or your beliefs are, you have choice about how they exist. So we can't push something away. It just doesn't work. If you push a person away, you end up in a karmic battle with them. If you push your own thoughts or feelings away, you end up in attachment, that karmic bondage with them. So what you would want to do is to be with completely. So you're not leaving your center to be with that thought, emotion, or experience, but you're staying in your center, in your presence, and you're making contact with that thought or feeling or that way of being or that pattern or that belief. You're making contact with it. Like this, I see it as like this soft, kind of like silky contact, like curious. It's seeing these parts with spirit eyes, not with our personality, ego driven selves. So we're making contact from our essential self in this kind of graceful way and noticing it. And when we notice it from that place, from true presence, there is no right and wrong, there's no good and bad. And one of the biggest pieces is we don't have preference. So if you're with a person and you have preference to be with someone else, that person's going to feel it, and they aren't going to change or become the person that you want them to be because the love's not there, you know? So if you're with another person and they're going to be able to feel that you don't want to be with them. And so positive impact isn't really going to happen. It's the same thing with any relationship, with our relationship to life, with our relationship to our thoughts, emotions, feelings, whatever our experience is. If we are in complete, open, soft, present contact with it, then it has the ability to alchemize because it's being seen with care. It's being seen with presence. It's being seen with love. And it will naturally start to unravel. Without any effort, that consciousness will start to evolve. It'll start to become whatever it's led to next. And as the witness, as awareness, the I am presence, in contact, we're contacting it. We're not out here looking at this thing over there, this object over there. We're fully with whatever is happening. And it starts to unravel. It starts to evolve. Like, think about a little kid when it gets attention and it's trying to learn how to do something and you're paying attention to it. They're going to try a little harder. Like, they're going to be like, oh, and they might even learn a little bit more sometimes, just be from that loving awareness or that supportive presence. But if we don't give it that, it might not grow. It might not get the kind of love or care that it needs in order to keep evolving. And no level of consciousness is bad or wrong. None. Not even crazy stuff. It's not bad or wrong, but it does need help and it does need love and care. All parts of us do in order to keep growing. So what we do is we make contact with whatever is creating that tension. Like maybe something else seems bigger than you, or something seems out of your control. And what we bring in is the feeling of trust. So if we can trust ourselves, trust the moment, trust whatever life is offering us, whatever that experience is, it can be held and then it can grow and evolve. And this is one way that we can unbind energy and come back into full presence so that we're not controlled by our mind, emotions, or tension. When energy is unbound from our body, nervous system, energy field, what happens is that energy that was in a control grid and kind of trapped in some kind of like a mesh, not moving, not dynamic pattern, when that energy gets released, it floods back into the system and we have so much more energy. We feel like ourselves. We feel soft, present, caring. We might have a lot more energy to do something that we're really passionate about. We might have more fire. We might have more softness, but you'll feel more like yourself and you'll feel more connected because you're not fighting the isness of who you are or what life is in the moment. You're in a dynamic dance with it. You're moving with it. And when you move with life instead of resisting it, it opens up doorways all over the place. I notice that whenever people feel like they're stuck, it's always an internal job. There truly cannot be a stuck place unless our energy or our belief or our attention is stuck. And when we start to disengage from what we thought was real, or what we thought was the way life was, and we're so stubborn about our perspectives. When we start to unravel it or bring more energy into it so that that really tightly knit pattern starts to expand, all these other possibilities come in, and we can feel more connected to ourselves. It feels present, it feels connected to other people, it feels connected to self, it's easier to connect to source. It feels like you're a spirit in a body, and it might not feel that transcendent. Sometimes the most transcendent things feel the most simple. It's really cool. So I'd like you to encourage you to practice a little bit, noticing where you hold tension in your body and your breath, like those places that your breath doesn't go to, where you hold tension in your mind when your thoughts are contracted or loud or dominating, and see what it's like to bring breath, some more life force, or just a softening, a soft presence to those places, whatever they may be for you. And start a daily meditation practice, just spending 5 minutes opening those places. Because what we're doing is when we bring a loving presence to any part that's stuck or blocked or feels limited, we're almost giving it that golden touch. It's like the breath of God, that we're awakening something that was unconscious. We're bringing it to life. We're giving it the life force and the care that it needs in order to grow into something else. Even these parts of us that lie dormant in our golden shadow and our beautiful parts of us that are undiscovered, when we make contact with those parts through our imagination and feel it in our body, we start to activate more of our light body. And so that's activating even more energy that we didn't even know was possible. We're taking that sort of spiritual, unbound, unmanifest energy, and we're bringing it into our nervous systems. That's all I've got for today. Sending hugs to everyone, and thanks for joining me.